Hey, hey, how you doing, Jeff?
Courtney, what's happening?
Oh, I'm just so excited. It is Fun Friday, and I believe it's our fourth episode of
This is number
Broker Rehab. Yeah, fourth of
number four.
Broker Rehab. Woohoo! We are excited. We've got a good topic today. Should we tell them?
Yeah? Yeah, what is it?
Well, it's one that is near and dear to my heart because I have experienced it, and I bet you have too. Today, we're going to talk about the margin compression that us brokers have been feeling in our industry for however many years
Yeah.
now. It's a doozy.
That sounds like a really exciting topic. It sounds a little technical and scientific and with a lot of numbers, probably.
I mean, maybe. I guess in a nutshell, it's just you're making less money than you used
Oh,
to with the same model, right?
yep, that's right. Yes, and you were telling me that this is near and dear to your heart, huh? So why is this so near and dear to your heart?
Before I brought my brokerage over to EXP, I, like many other brokers, felt the squeeze on the profit of the business, offering the desire or at least the feeling like I needed to offer more to my agents, who many of whom were actually doing less or not even utilizing what I was offering them, higher splits for commissions just to keep up with the competition, and my margins just kept getting tighter and tighter. And it's a tough one. It's really hard to know what to do and how to increase your profitability.
Yeah. So, Courtney, what was your model? Do you can you tell us, share a little bit about what your model was like?
So I had a traditional brokerage model, and it was kind of mirrored after an independent broker that I worked for when I was learning the business. No caps, right? So we had various splits depending on the experience of the agents. But for the most part, our lowest, we might have had a few at 60/40. We had a number of 70/30. Majority were 80/20, like the bulk were 80/20. And then I had a couple of my higher producers at 85% splits. And I was paying for Boomtown and the CRMs and the websites and leads and pay-per-click and all the stuff that goes along with that.
Hmm. So was that like a graduated scale? As they produce more, did they get bumped up to a better split?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly how I had it.
Isn't it crazy? Like when you start a brokerage, how hard it is to figure out what to do. Like when we started my brokerage, because I ended up having 250 agents. I'm in Phoenix, and we did a flat fee brokerage.
Mm.
And what we realized is if we would have had a split brokerage, we would have been a lot more. We would have been a lot better off economically down the road. I mean, we were bringing on a lot of agents because the flat fee was really affordable. At the beginning, when we started, it was $395 a deal.
Oh, wow.
But we're in Phoenix, and there's a lot of flat fee brokerages in Phoenix. So we started kind of low, and then we eventually kind of went up a little bit. But when I left the brokerage, we were charging like $500 a deal, and that's still very, very reasonable, with a cap too. And so we realized that we were working a lot of hours and not getting paid handsomely for it. And it was just kind of I just wish we would have done it differently at the beginning and had a split.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. I just think that our industry and the market has changed, and that it's not like that brokers are necessarily doing worse. It's just the math has changed. And the way that we literally have to run our businesses has changed. We have to adapt. There's no way around it. If you're going to keep up with the industry and the market changes, you have to adapt.
Yeah. It seems like, what do you think of this, Courtney? It seems like there's only a couple ways to go. You either go higher splits in favor of the broker and realize that agent count doesn't necessarily mean profitability. So you're not hiring the masses, or you go cheaper fee and you're all about volume of agents coming in. You're getting tons of agents. Are you reading that the same way?
Yeah, I think the trouble though is like you talked about it where you raised your flat fee, right? So as a broker, you raise your fees, but if you don't increase the value or if it's not perceived that there's an increased value with the increase of fees or the change of the splits, then you'll often have some pretty high attrition. So it's like a catch 22. Something has to give, but how do you go about it the right way, right? And I think that there's been historically a big focus on agent count or purely on volume and increasing your volume or increasing your agent count rather than looking at what is each agent making me per year and what is each transaction costing me or what am I even getting out of each relationship, right? Not even the transaction, but like some transactions come from one relationship and the necessity of having to track all of that and really know your numbers, which is for me something I had to work at. That's not my natural desire. I love spreadsheets. I love the results from spreadsheets, but I'm not your numbers gal. I'm a little bit more of a free spirit naturally, as my husband would attest to with the budget. So all of a sudden, when you're a broker, you have to be good at these things, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I had to really work with that too. And I ended up putting segmentation in my roster. So I looked at the top 20%, like the middle 60%, the bottom 20%. And what I learned is you have some agents in the brokerage who literally cost you money. And, and that's where you have to have a conversation with them. I can't tell you how many times, Courtney, that I actually coached people out of real estate. I coached them out of the business. Because
Yeah.
if they're not doing anything, why are they on your roster? They're costing you money. And number one, or number two, they're also costing you your reputation. Because if you get a bunch of people that aren't producing, then they're really not adding much value to the culture of the company. So I was always top grading the roster. And,
Mm.
either I'd coach them up or I'd coach them out, one of the two.
I love it. Yeah, my husband and I call that helping them opt out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you look at the top 20%, those are the people that are pretty plugged in, and then you got the up and comers. So you have to know your roster really well, and like you said, you have to know what is it costing you to maintain an agent per year? What's your profitability per transaction and what are they really giving you? Because if you have a cap, another way to think of this is if you have a cap at let's say 15, 16,000, maybe less, if you have a very, very high producer, if you think about it, you're getting 16K or whatever it is from that producer, right? But after that, if they're doing 100 deals a year, that's a real benefit to the agent, right? And not necessarily a benefit to the broker. So you have to look at all those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard though, like, you have to look at your model, and if the margins are only there with it working perfectly, then you don't have a good model, right? You've gotta have one that can go with the ebbs and flows of the market because it's all cyclical, it goes up and down. So, what are some things that brokers can do when the market's not so hot, right? I mean, what are some things that you did with your brokerage when things got tough?
Yeah, so I think the first thing you do is you look at your costs. You have to understand you may have to let some things go, and some things you think you needed, but you really don't. The agents don't really use them. And if you survey your agents and you say, who's really using this tool, and you find out maybe a few people that are using it, that they're the squeaky wheel, then get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's no different than an agent's business, Courtney. So many people just don't pay attention to their P&L and they get cost creep and they start bringing in all these little programs. And before you know it, they're spending a lot of money every month and it kind of gets out of control. So you have to have somebody look at your books every month, and you have to be able to open your books to somebody else and say, hey, from an objective point of view, can you tell me what you see? Because I can tell you right now, when I coach agents, if I look at their checking account or I look at their business account, I can tell you what they value. I can tell you how good their business really is.
Yeah. No, I so agree. For me, I ended up hiring a fractional CFO to help me with that. So, because it was not, I don't want to say my blind spot, but my weakness, I needed to outsource some help to make sure that I stayed on top of that and to provide the accountability that I needed to make sure that I wasn't overspending or unwisely spending in different areas. So he had the financial check-ins with me every single month. Some were good, some were not fun at all. But those were the most eye-opening and the most important conversations of the month is like, oh, okay, whoops, I just spent 60 grand in marketing. Where did that go? And what was the ROI that I got on it? Things like
Wow.
that.
So what did that fractional CEO do for you or CFO do for you? I mean, did it just totally free you up?
It did. It's what allowed me to scale, and I opened some different offices. He built out the spreadsheets that allowed me to more clearly look at what each of my agents were making me, bringing into the company. It helped me structure my pay for my manager because I had a manager as well. And it just went over all my operating expenses and helped me realize, okay, I need to make at least this amount of money if it's worth opening an office. Because at that point, I was opening brick and mortars, right? So I need to have this many agents that bring in this amount in order to make this viable option or worth my time of scaling and growing. And that's kind of where that started, was the fact that I wanted to grow and I knew that I needed help to do so.
Yeah. So I wonder if you're opening a company in 2026,
Mhm.
the questions you have to ask are much different than they were when I first started opening up brokerages, right? I mean, do you spend most of your time in the cloud? Do you want a brick and mortar? How much staff do you want? What's the split? There's a lot of big questions, and I think a lot of it also depends on the image you want in the marketplace and who is your avatar you're going after as an agent, right? There's different cultures and different images for different companies. So it's like, what exactly are you trying to look like out there and who are you going for?
That is a really good point. And for me now, like looking back and reflecting on my career and the choices I made, which were some of them were very appropriate for the time, some not. Now I definitely think that a cloud-based or hybrid is probably more of the way to go. I do still have actually have two offices, but I get help with the cost of those from my agents. They contribute, which they didn't before. So that was definitely a very heavy fixed cost that I had on the brokerage were my rents or the fees associated with the building that I own, which is what I'm in right now. But I think I could actually run my company very well without my office. And I feel that confidently now. If I want to meet in person with my team, it doesn't have to be in the office. I think we could get together in a lot of different locations, some of which are free, like title companies and lenders' offices who are always looking for ways to bring realtors in the door. So, one, I think a cloud-based hybrid model is definitely like the way to go. The least amount of W-2. I have 0 W-2 employees now, and I used to have 5 or 6.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that gives me so much more flexibility. I've outsourced as much as I possibly can to some sort of subscription or fractional model versus the fixed costs that I used to carry every single month that I couldn't get rid of.
Well, okay, so that's interesting, Courtney. So the building you're sitting in right now, what is that served for? Is that like a cultural center, or what are you using that building for?
Well, so it's actually a hotel. My husband and I own a boutique hotel here outside of Yosemite, and
Oh my God.
I know.
Everybody needs to go to that hotel. Let's listen.
Let's do a retreat. All of our listeners, we'll all come together and have a retreat in Yosemite, and we'll stay here at the hotel. We'll just block out the whole thing. It'll be so much fun. I'm not kidding. Let's do it. If anyone's
Yep,
interested,
that's
put
in
it
the works.
in the chat. So yes, so my husband and I have a hotel. Actually, quick tangent, funny story on that. I grew my brokerage out of literally my first office was a shipping container with my husband that we converted into an office space for his construction company and my real estate company. So we were working from my mobile home that we were living in, saving money to build a house, and a storage, one of those shipping containers. Okay. So that was my first office. And then I started getting all these agents that wanted to work with me, and we just took over the whole space. And so my husband and I are like, all right, for the sake of our marriage, you need to go find another office space. Like we can't all work together anymore. We're busting at the seams. So I found an office space in downtown Mariposa while he was on a trip, reached out to the owner on Facebook, negotiated a deal, and then told him, oh, by the way, the office is attached to a hotel. And we bought it. And so that's why I have the office space that I'm in right now. It's in the front of the hotel. So my overhead is very low for the real estate side of the business because it's absorbed through the hotel.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, and back to the whole retreat thing, we have a big vision. So we'll probably end up having a broker rehab retreat. We can have a whole seminar. We'll bring in all these ballers out there and to teach you guys that are independent brokers how to run your business. That's so cool, Courtney. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's good.
That's
Yeah. So we're talking about margin compression. Not only are we seeing it on the broker side, but we're seeing it on the commission side. So both, right? The brokers get squeezed, the agents get squeezed. So, another thing, I would recommend as a coach or as an owner is you need to have good coaching skills, or at least have somebody else that you can contract with that is really good at it. People like me and Courtney. Like if you ever need help with coaching agents, we do that too. So I think you really owe it to yourself to learn how to be a decent coach, because what are you going to say when an agent comes in and says, "Hey, I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling. What do you think I should do?" And if you're like, "Well, I just run the profit and loss statement," you actually need to know what you're talking about, right? And so it kind of pays to understand how to coach agents. I remember one year it was in 2012. I had a veteran agent come into my office. The guy's been in the business 20 years. And he says, "Jeff, I'm really struggling this summer. I need to get things going." So I did one technique I'm very famous for. I said, "Can you name me an organization you absolutely despise?" So, and I'm not going to share the organization, but he gave me the name of the organization, and I said, "Okay, write me out." And I said, "Write me out a check for $1,500 to that organization," and he did, and I held it. And basically the goal was it was a 90-day goal. And I said, how many listings do you want to try to get in 90 days? He said, 7. I said, okay, why don't we put some more skin in the game? Because this gentleman had a pretty decent amount of money. I go, how about you put $2,500 in and we'll make it 7 listings in 90 days. And if he didn't get it, he had to write that check out to that organization, which he absolutely hated because it was against his personal values, his core values.
Hmm.
Guess how many listings, Courtney, he got in 90 days?
How many? More than 7, I'm guessing.
15.
Oh my God.
15. Yeah,
He found something that
this
motivated him.
right. And the secret to that whole coaching session was that I violated his values by him saying he's gonna, actually write a check to an organization that he was 100% against. So that went from his head to his heart. And when you bring something like that into your heart, then you can move heaven and earth to hit a goal. Right. And that's why I always tell people, when the intention is clear, the mechanism will appear. And his intention is so strong, and he didn't know how he was going to do it. He didn't know how, but he went out and did it because it was so strong. There's a great book out there. It's called "If How Tos Were Enough, We'd All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy." Right. And it's true, right? Because we have diet books, we have books on how to be a millionaire. And if you go read that book on how to be a millionaire, you should become a millionaire. But
Right.
that's not the way it works.
No.
You know, there's how-tos for everything, and we just don't do it because it's not even about the how-tos. It's really about how bad do you want it.
Right. Oh yeah.
So
For sure. The implementation is usually where we fall short.
wow.
Well,
So yeah,
you brought up about a good point about needing to be a good coach. I think a lot of leaders, they get burnt out, right? They're investing all their time and energy into their people rather than investing into themselves and their own personal growth. And that's often skipped when it's actually probably the most critical thing that you could do for yourself is to continue to improve and to learn and to grow and to put yourself in the right room with the right people so that way you can come back and pour into your own people and be a better leader for them. And it's kind of like the whole mantra of working, you're stuck working in the business rather than on the business. But when you're a broker, you have to work on the business. You have to time block, strategic planning, and focusing on yourself, whether it's even just going on a vacation or recharging your battery. It's so important to running a strong business.
Yeah, if your cup is empty, you're like an empty vessel. You can't pour in anybody else. And,
Mhm.
I've seen brokers actually get resentful because they're trying so hard to help everybody else and they're not making that much money. They're
Right.
subsidizing the company half the time. And so that just builds resentment. And what happens is there's the law of the lid. John Maxwell talks about it in all of his books. I 100% believe in that concept. You have the lid, right? And if you're not growing yourself as a leader, the organization can't grow at a higher rate than what you're growing. And you're the leader, right? So you have to devote some money and time back into your own development and just getting some rest. And I know people, Courtney, that haven't taken a vacation in like 7, 8 years that are brokers. That's sad.
I can't even imagine that. We loved the travel. We travel, I would say, I mean, what at least one big trip a year, but more like quarterly.
Yeah.
And I need that.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah, every quarter you need to be doing something like that. Every quarter, right? And that's one of the things I love our model at EXP is we get to hang around people around the country that are just head and shoulders at the top of their game. People that are much better than me, and I get to hang around them and listen and learn. And this past weekend or this past week, I've been building an organization in South Carolina. I got to hang around people that were top 10 in the company with EXP Realty. We have 82,000 agents. And
Mhm.
I basically sat there and I was just a sponge, right? So it's like you have to kind of evaluate your inner circle. Who are you hanging around? Who's feeding you? You know what I mean?
I do. I do. We actually had Kim Frazier on our mastermind that my organization or my business partner I put together every week. And she currently is number 8 in EXP with sales production. So she does between,
Cool.
I think she's on average, well, she's almost to, I think she said she's almost to 1 billion in sales total in her career. So very, very high volume. And she's not in our organization. She's not one of my sponsors. We have just met at events. We've spoken at events together. We hit it off. I said, "Hey, can you come and speak to my group?" She's totally willing to do it. It was so amazing. When I was on my own, everything had to come from me. And now it doesn't, right? We have all these people that are extremely collaborative that will pour into one another. And again, it's back to being in the right room with the right people.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to scale your business, especially as an independent broker, unless you have other people to run with.
Mm,
Because you can't be the best at everything. You can't be the best recruiter and plus the best CFO and the best coach. There's just not enough bandwidth in a day. You got to get other people involved.
right. No, I agree. I agree. So, kind of going back a little bit, when we're talking about the different costs, like let's get a little more tactical, I would say.
Yep.
Um, we talked about trying to be flexible with your office space. If there's a way to get rid of some leases or some of your overhead of brick and mortar, I'd say do it. If there's a way to eliminate some W-2 positions and do maybe per contract, like TCs, I don't think there's a need to have an in-house or salaried TC, pay per transaction. And I think that because we already know that the fixed costs are what kill you when you're in a down market, right? So
Mhm.
I feel like if you can support your agents through something that's tied to their production or to them participating versus it just being this whole menu of things that you just offer them that they could take advantage or not, which is how it usually is, you would just be so much better off, right?
So let's unpack that. So I think I know where you're going with that. So by participating, are you suggesting that they help pay for some of these things that they want up front, and then when they produce, you could always give them a refund on the back end and they do a commission? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, or I'm even thinking, for example, like I used Boomtown, which is now Bold Trail, KV Core, they're all the same company. And it was really expensive. And it was per agent. It mattered how many agents you had. Every time you added an agent, you paid more as a broker. And they got added on my website, they got access to the CRM. Well, a large percentage of them didn't even log in, or at least some of them didn't even log in. And I could see it. I can see if they're using it or not using it. So instead, is there a way to maybe negotiate or say, hey, if you want, I need to know ahead of time if you're going to if you're going to be a part of this or log in or not, right? If you want to use this, maybe here, pay a small percentage or a small fee rather than just going for it and assuming that they will use it or hoping, right? Hoping that they'll use these tools that you're paying for. I don't know. I mean, I am a really big proponent of having skin in the game. I think that people are more successful when they feel it come out of their own pocket more than when you just give things for free, which is kind of traditionally how it's been for brokers.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, I don't even coach anybody for free anymore, unless they're in my organization. Then I'll coach them for free because there's benefit for both of us. But yeah, if there's no skin in the game, they're not going to take it seriously. I wonder with your Boomtown example as a broker, you probably know this answer, Courtney. Are you able to see? Sounds like you are. You can see the amount of time in the application since you're like the master owner, right? You can see what people, how much time they're in it, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All the metrics. Hmm.
Yeah, that would be interesting because if they spend no time in it and you're basically getting dinged every month for that, I'd be having a conversation real quick. So maybe there's a way as a broker you can take a look at that stuff and have conversations with people. And wow, that's a great aha you just gave.
Well, and also even like again, along the same lines with the CRM, the companies will suck you into long contracts too. So perhaps you try to negotiate with the actual companies themselves into either shorter contracts or maybe say if we get this percentage of participation from our agents, then I'll go another year or something like that, rather than just like, okay, I just signed up for 2 years for this many agents. You maybe try to negotiate on the front end to lower your costs as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We used to do cash discounts a lot. We try to pay everything in cash up front. We get significant discounts. And then you could possibly, just to come off of your idea, on the back end, you could get some rebates from agents that aren't using it. So if you're going to go up front, then you need to get a discount and then bake in some ways that you can recoup the money if people aren't using it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair.
Yeah. These are all good ideas. I mean, what else you got, Courtney? You got anything else cooking up there in your noggin?
Let me look at my notes, Jeff. I did take quite a few of them. Okay, so I would just say here's like some actionable tips, and it's a little bit of a recap of some of the stuff that we were talking about. I think you audit your true cost per agent. You identify, this would be my homework to a fellow broker, identify fixed costs that you can make variable. Maybe kill one tool that your team is not actually using. Stop recruiting agents that are not transacting or get rid of the ones that are not transacting. They're costing you money. Build one additional revenue stream, which we didn't really talk to, but ancillary products, that could be an option to bring in some money. And communicate your value more clearly and concisely to your agents of what you actually and transparently can offer them, would be some advice. I'd say like clarity beats everything every time.
That's like a scorecard, man. We could totally like sell that, Courtney.
Well, Jeff, I've actually created something for free that our audience can download. So if you go on either All Things Twiss or the Jeff Sutherlin Show YouTube, where you watch this, I just want you to comment checklist, and we will send you your free broker checklist to go over all these things that we were talking about and ways that you can cut costs or increase your revenue, and a fillable worksheet. So just comment checklist, and I would be happy to send it over to you.
Wow. Okay, we have an offer on the table and it's free. So, man, that's awesome, Courtney. That's so good. Our first offering.
I know, Jeff. It's just going to keep getting better and better.
I have something for our next time. I was teaching a business planning clinic this week in front of like 50 people. It was so fun. And I had somebody help me with an income with basically an economic plan. You put the gross commission income at the top, reverse engineer it all the way down to the number of appointments people need to have every week, every month, every
Mhm.
year, conversion rates for buyers and sellers. It was so slick. And we're going to provide that as a free tool as well. So it's just going to get better and better.
It is going to get better. I love it. And we'll definitely have some AI tools coming your way too, because I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Courtney is the master with AI. We're just getting started.
I'm not the master yet, but I have made it my mission to be the master of AI, at least where it comes to marketing, branding, and sales, because that is definitely a passion of mine.
Yeah. It's so good. I mean, I was resisting AI, and guys, I don't now. I love it too. I'm right there with her. And I used to think, that the world was going to hell in a handbasket because of AI, but I'm actually quite optimistic.
I am too. I am too. Well, I do want to make sure that we leave our audience, our brokers with, an optimistic closing. And I just want to reinforce that even though our margins are compressing, it does make you run a better company. And I think it makes your business model stronger if you can operate on those lean margins and look for ways to improve. I think it creates stronger cultures. And I think that the next era in real estate favors intentional, aligned organizations. And that's something that we can all choose to do. And that there is hope. You don't have to be the biggest brokerage to survive. You just need to be the smartest. And that's something that each and every one of us can do.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Courtney. I mean, Courtney gave a great list of things you guys could go off and look at doing. When I started my first brokerage is 2009 in Phoenix. Our first lease, Courtney, was $1,700.
Mhm.
$1,700, and the space was 2,100 square feet.
Oh, wow.
I got it through a title company, and I knew the title company president. He was literally doing it for us as a favor
Mhm.
because there was so many empty there was empty suites everywhere. Commercial suites were empty everywhere in Phoenix. It was like blood in the streets in 2009. It wasn't a good felt kind to start anything. But I was like, hey, if I can start a real estate company in '09 and succeed, I can do it anytime. And you're exactly right. When you start a company like that in the worst of times, you get to be a very good business person. And then you get to take advantage of when the market comes back. And they always do. They always did.
Yep, I agree. Well, Jeff, I think this has been a great episode. Lots of nuggets for our audience. We got to make sure we go to the broker recharge room. Can you end with something to help us recharge our batteries?
Yeah. So here it is today. Are you guys working out? Are you like actually getting your blood moving every day? It's if you can't take care of the temple, your body, you're gonna have a hard time taking care of everybody else, right? So are you eating well? Are you drinking a lot of water? Invest, maybe take 2026 and start thinking about how you can get healthier because mind, body, and spirit are all connected, right? If one's affected, other areas are affected, and you're the leader. You're the leader of your company. So people are looking up to you. I mean, what if you have a severe weight problem? First of all, if you do, I hope you address that, right? Stay healthy because people want to see us and they're kind of feeding off of our energy and you want to be able to show an example to your people. So take care of your body and do things that fill your soul, and give you energy because this is an energy game. A great book to read, The Energy Bus. Read that book. You'll love it.
I haven't read that one. I definitely will.
Yeah, it's good. It's a feel good book.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. As always, it's been a pleasure. And I hope that you go out and kick some butt until the next time I see you.
Courtney, you did a great job today. Thanks so much. I hope y'all get something out of this and look forward to you using her free tool. It's gonna rock.
Yeah. So remember, go to All Things Twiss or the Jeff Sutherlin Show on YouTube. We're also on Instagram and comment checklist, and we'll get you those free tools. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you there. See you, everybody.